Good morning. Thank you for attending today on this sunny Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day. My name is Justin Ford, Sales Director for Life Insurance with IAMS, and we have an opportunity here to hear from a good friend and partner of ours, John Enting, here in a moment about Unity Funeral Trust. I did have coffee this morning, but again, thanks for attending. Look forward to the presentation here. Before we get started, we do have a diverse audience. We have some producers that on the line here, like John, that have been doing business with us and are currently clients of ours. Appreciate everything that you do. This would not be possible if for not. And we also have a group of individuals that may be looking at IAMS for the first time, may have an interest in joining us, maybe in the process. So I want to make sure we address both groups here, just so you're aware of some of the items that we have here of importance, whether you're new or not. And the first of which, if you are joining on board with us new or considering it, we recognize as a partnership in the brokerage industry and as a consultative sales team here that first 180 days with a new organization for anyone, and particularly in this industry, is very important because at the end of the day, you're testing us out. We're testing you out. We've made the decision to join and partner together, but until you really see that first case go through all the way to fruition, get to meet the team, in our opinion, you don't necessarily get a full view of what IAMS does. So we understand the importance of that first 180 days. And also, we are, with that being said, we're going to incentivize you with a program we call New Producer Builders to help you write that first case with us during the first days, during your first 180 days, or incentivize you for doing so as a reward. So we have on the screen here broken down into different levels. If you have an interest in this program, particularly if you are new with us, make sure you reach out to your sales director or primary contact here at IAMS or myself and raise your hand as someone that wants to be in this, so that we know that you're tracking for it. But on the page here are annuity numbers. $100,000 annuity premium in the first 180 days with us could range from getting you a 1,500-piece postcard mailing, an iPad, $750 in cash, up to pre-formatted emails and a marketing analysis of your entire practice, which leads to us being able to help you with a corporate identity package as well for branding. 100,000 in annuity, 10,000 in life target is the way that breaks down. And then we all the way up to the $1 million level, where we get into what we call core story brand builder, get published in major news outlets, ABC, Fox, NBC, preset annuity appointments, about 8 to 10 of those, personalized videos, consumer-facing brochures, a dinner workshop, 8,000-piece mail drop, etc. If you're coming on board with us and you do have a program that's working consistently for you, we also are open to that too from a consolidation standpoint, how we can support funding a portion of these dollars for those programs, not to put it in these categories. But we want your business and want you to have the best experience with us. So your first 180 days with us is very important, and anywhere there within. So let us know if you have any questions or interest in hearing more about the New Producer Builders program. At the same time, if you are new with us, it's very likely that you may be a referral or an introduction to IAMS. Much like your practice, our best opportunities to work with, our strongest relationships, and our heaviest percentage of new clients come from referrals. And with that being said, those of you that are existing with IAMS on the webinar today, doing business with us, some of you may be in this category. If not, I want to make sure you're aware of it. So this goes for new individuals coming on board with us, as well as existing relationships. We have a referred producer program. And the way that it works is we're going to pay you in 3 different ways. A $50 one-time bonus when the individual that you refer to us or introduce contracts and licenses. So say they license with Unity today, we'll give you a $50 one-time cash bonus. And then the second way we pay you is without taking any money out of their pocket or putting you in a hierarchy or anything like that, thousands of dollars for referrals. It states here in writing business. We're going to pay you basis points on their business out of our pocket, not theirs. And that goes for the extent of the relationship. So you can see the number breakdown here. Let us know if you do have someone that would be a good fit for us. We'll do all the work as far as getting them set up and on our end for the licensing. And you just need to find out if there's someone out there like you that also would have an interest or benefit from what we're doing with you. So we appreciate all the referrals. That's our referral producer program. Let your business development director at IAMS know. We have a process for this. If you've got someone reach out to us, let us know, and we can get it set up, and we appreciate it. Once you do start writing your first case with us, we have our back office support. One of the big things that we take pride in, and that we are constantly reminded of, is the back office support. Our team, everything from processing your applications from the sales front end all the way through getting you paid in commissions. This is an area where we look to soar. We just recently changed our industry, blown away 3 call. You call in 3 rings, you're going to get a live person. We just changed that to 2 rings, and we're constantly striving for that here on the team. You'll always get a live person at IAMS, but that's just the start. All the way through your first commission check paid, and in your first 180 days, if you're new or existing, you'll get an experience with to be able to see that, meet the processors and new business team that make us such a stellar back office organization. As you write your first application, if you're doing annuities or Allianz Life or others, FireLight, we are a member of FireLight. New companies are coming on board every day. FireLight is our online digital application program for annuities, like it is for the majority of insurance companies. We are a partner with them and have new companies coming on board every day, as many of you know, on a regular basis. And you can register for FireLight if you're going to be doing annuities with IAMS. Reach out to your sales director today, and we can show you where or get you registered to be able to use FireLight on our website. On that same note, we don't have a slide in here for it, but if you're doing life insurance with us or will be doing life insurance with us, we have a second digital platform that we use through iPipeline called iGo. You're probably familiar with it, and that is the brother to the sister here, FireLight, when it comes to annuities. So let us know. We can get you registered for both of those. And when it comes to another third pillar of areas of where we excel and where others come, advisors come to us for this particular area, is in our creative marketing solutions. When it comes to making you or allowing you to shine, we're like the velvet behind the diamond. We know in communities out there everywhere, there are producers like yourself that care about your clients, are looking for an opportunity to build their business, doing very, very well at it. But oftentimes it's very difficult to do that in your practice and also have somebody express to the community through different programs, through branding, through corporate awareness, how beneficial you are. So there's clients out there that may not be aware of such a great resource like yourself. That being said, we created an in-house marketing team here. Each one of our members is on our salary, if you will. These creative directors, everything from digital marketing specialists all the way through video-based and social media specialists, Facebook certified individuals that help get you in front of people, help let the word out so that those individuals know where they can come and get help. With them being on our payroll, the difference there, and this is a key point, is they work only in our industry, only with producers with IAMS. They're very keen into the topics of tax offset, Social Security, inflation, and they're used to doing that. In addition to it, anything that we create with you is put your logo on and your design on is yours. And what I mean by that is local advertising teams, oftentimes when you do material with them, you may or may not be aware of it, but many of them will keep possession of that material. So if you ever try to leave their services, they created that as their asset, not yours. And they may very well turn around, and in many cases do, take it off and white label it for use with other agencies around in your community. So not to mention the fees. When you're doing business with IAMS, you have access to the creative marketing group. If you have an interest in that, let your sales director know today, and we can speak with you further and consult with you about what areas of your practice you would have an interest in enhancing and do an analysis of your overall business. On our website, getting access 24 hours a day. Many of you run your life insurance illustrations through myself and my staff here, or you can also do term quotes and guaranteed universal life quotes directly from our website. Every form that you could ever want, if it's never fails, it's a Saturday, you can't get a hold of anybody, or it's late in the evening and you need a form for tomorrow's appointment, you can pull in-force forms like beneficiary change forms, et cetera, for all the companies off of our website or request them from us. So we want you to be able to get it on your own, be able to access us to get the same material, essentially make it more convenient for you, and our website does that. In addition to that, I'd check out the marketing corner on our website if you're already registered. There are a number of different topics in there and informational pieces that can help a client better understand the intelligence level that you have, and at the same time help them and help you gather information and present things, concepts like, as an example, Section 162 plans, buy-sell agreements, you name it, all the way through RMD factors. There's material on our website in that marketing corner that you should take a look at. Let us know if you have any questions. We can get you registered on the site. Be happy to. When it comes to presenting, speaking of presenting, we have access and partnerships with several industry-leading presentation software report tools, if you will, and vendors, one of which is Retirement Analyzer. I've been working with Retirement Analyzer since 2007, 2006 in my career. And when it comes to retirement income and taking a client's individual retirement plan, what they may want ultimately in retirement, what they think is going to happen in retirement, kids move out of the house, kids move back into the house, taking care of a parent, not taking care of a parent, all these decisions that you have in your head about how retirement's going to go for you as a consumer. Retirement Analyzer has a great way of taking that information through a simple questionnaire, list of questions that you ask the client, and producing a very simple report that will go through a spreadsheet and give you a snapshot of your plan, if it were to work as you believe it to be so today, with your assets, when you want to retire, Social Security, etc., what it will look like. Will it work? Will it not? And the benefit of knowing now versus later, I think we all would agree that that's the option that we want to choose, because we have time to make changes. So if we run out of income, it's going to make a big issue, a big error right across the year, a big red line right across the year. You run out of income. We can also show the downside of not having life insurance or long-term care within your plan as well. And we have that. When it comes to one of the specific important risks in retirement that we're seeing today, and the media is talking about, and all the changes we've seen in the tax code recently, when it comes to reducing future tax liability and offsetting future tax liability for retirees, we have a program through Stonewood that will help us show the difference between funding a pre-tax account and utilizing, as an example, Index Universal Life for retirement income, which of course is tax-free. That is through Stonewood. So between Stonewood and Retirement Analyzer, if you have any questions or if that would be something you'd have interest in hearing more about, ask your sales director today or reach the life insurance team. We'd be happy to help. For those of you that are currently registered as a RIA or investment advisor representative, we do have a solution for you there too. If you have your own RIA now and would like to step back from all the compliance liability and possibly join a firm that is insurance friendly, that recognizes the annuity business and appreciates it as much as we do, life insurance, and you want to become an IAR, we are a wealth management team as well. IAMS Wealth Management can help you with this, all the way through. If you are looking at getting your Series 66 or 65, if you have interest in that, we'll help you from the beginning, get you set up for opening your U10 window, get you the training material lined up, and work with you through the way so that you can increase your revenue, increase the retention you have with your clients, build further relationships beyond what you may have now, get further wallet share, but also control the funding. Being able to control the funding, as you know, allows you to do your job more efficiently, and this has been working out very well. So if you have an interest in hearing more or hearing from someone about IAMS Wealth Management, even if you just have the beginning questions, please let us know. Your sales director today, and we can get you a call from our IAMS Wealth Management team. Now all the good stuff is done. We've got our trip, producer incentive trip. Where we're a little different here is on our producer incentive trips, most organizations do a 12-month qualification. For those of you that are with us, if you recall, we do an 18-month qualification period for our trip, which I think is unique and gives us an opportunity to get folks into that a little bit longer to submit business, especially if you're new with us. So if you have an interest in the trip this year, we'll be going on a cruise, Rome, Sorrento, Capri, Sorrento with the island of the lemons, and etc. So if you have interest, give us a call, or if you'd like to see where you're currently ranking as an existing producer, by all means, ask your new business or your sales rep today at IAMS. We have brought back our academies. We're doing partnerships with for educational events and everything from a deep dive into index universal life all the way through sales practices, annuities, indexed annuities, etc. We've got some events coming up soon. Check our website out or ask your sales director today. You want to get on this list, because with COVID and with the way that we allocate this, the time to the events and seating, we've got a large number of individuals that are signing up. And as we start to make selections for the first couple of events, as far as how many people can attend, we want to make sure your name, if you have interest, is on our list. You can register via our website, or have your sales director register you directly by just giving a call. If you're talking to the annuity team or life today, let us know. Again, if you'd like to get in front of, rub elbows with other producers and get some face-to-face education here. So we are on Facebook and LinkedIn, YouTube as well. Many of our webinars are out on YouTube. Check our YouTube site out. And at this point, without further ado, I want to introduce our partner here, John Enting, who's going to be presenting for us today. And John, I'm going to switch over to your presentation here.
Perfect.
See here.
Yeah,
Perfect.
looks like we got it. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And good morning, everybody. Thank you for taking the time out this morning to learn a little bit more about Unity. I'd like to start out by telling you that I'm not a home office employee. I am in the field. I run a financial advisory practice here in Columbus, Ohio, with a couple of offices. And so when I talk to you about this, these are things that we actually have done and continue to do within our business. And I think it's important anytime you're in our business that if you have an opportunity to help somebody out, that you have the first shot at that versus somebody coming in behind you and maybe talking to your clients about something you weren't informed about. So what we'll do today is we'll cover some of the topics. We'll talk about Unity. We'll talk about the opportunity that exists in the marketplace. We'll talk about the way they use their trust, and it's a free trust to hold the asset for the client, as well as the product that goes into the trust. And then I'll also give you some presentation ideas and tools that you can take with you to use out in the field. Obviously, when we're talking about insurance companies, we're looking for financial strength. Unity's been around for quite a long time. They're solely owned by the Hardy family, so they are specialists in what they do. They offer irrevocable funeral trust and estate planning trust. They have guaranteed issue, so you're not going to go through a bunch of work and find out you couldn't get the deal done for the client. If you don't like paperwork, you'll love doing business with them. It's literally a one-page application, your disclosure for which product you're using, and your state replacement form. And then today we're going to focus on single premium. That's all we do here at Enting Financial. You can do premium spread out over time, and I'll cover that a little bit. But for us, we think it's simpler just to do single premium. I'll talk to you a little bit about 1035 exchanges and how that can benefit your client and protect their money. And then, of course, we all want to know that if we're out there doing a good job for a client and helping them out, that we're going to get paid for that, and their compensation program will get that accomplished for us. So just a little history here on their financial stability. I'll let you take a look at that for a second, but you can see their asset growth has been very pleasing to us. Obviously, their return on equity and their outlook from AM Best. So as we all know in this business, insurance companies are, when we need them to be their best is when we need them. And one of the things I will say with these companies is when it's time to pay on these claims, they step right up to the plate and they get it done for your client. So as far as financial strength, just a quick little look at their admitted assets. And you can see that they've grown their assets. So everything that we want to know about a company to be confident to talk to our clients and other agents that are out in the field, they're meeting all that criteria for us. So as we all know, we're in the planning business. We know there's things that might happen that you see over there on the left side, but we know the one thing that's going to happen for sure. And at that point, somebody's going to pass away. And there's a couple ways to do things when you're setting up for your final expenses. Someone has to do the planning, and that can either be the deceased prior to passing away, or it can be left to the survivors. And for me, it was a personal story. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. My mom and dad divorced when I was 2 years old. I've always been the entrepreneur in the family. I've been in the insurance business since 1987 and built a couple businesses in that area. And so when my dad passed away on January 21st of 2011, I got a phone call from my sister letting me know that. And of course, the next day I found myself sitting in a funeral director's office, and he was asking me all kinds of questions. What's your dad's mother's maiden name? What's his highest rank in the military? Who's his pallbearers? I didn't know any of this information. But what it did make me realize really quickly is that all these plans that we had done for our clients over the years, that our clients weren't going through this. And so it was kind of a weird situation where I was out preaching this, and then all of a sudden I found myself in that situation due just strictly to the relationship that I didn't have with my father. So what you have a couple choices when it comes to that. And one of them is go to a funeral home and prepay your funeral, or just use final expense and put it into an irrevocable trust so that that money is protected and that it's there when it's needed the most. And that's really what the Unity product is all about. You know, it's interesting. If you ask your clients what they think an average funeral cost, you'll get numbers all over the board. We share this information with our clients, and you know it's about $15,000. We just had a client pass away, and it was closer to 16.5. They did a traditional funeral, so that stuff all adds up in there, and we want to make sure our clients' families are prepared for that when something happens to them. Sometimes you'll hear, well, you know, I'm not worried about that. I'm going to be cremated. And, you know, we tell them that fire costs money too, and there's going to be some costs associated with that. So maybe at that, we're backing it down to $5,000 or $8,000 is the suggested range if you're considering going to be cremated when you pass away. So what's the opportunity for you? They did a national survey, and 72% thought it was a good idea to pre-plan their funerals, but 64% had not taken the steps to do so. And the one thing that we know for sure is that your clients aren't any different than ours. They're all going to pass away at some point. They're all thinking about this. But we think the reason they don't do it is we just don't see a husband and wife waking up in the morning and the husband rolling over and saying, hey, honey, let's go down and plan our funerals today. The human mind can only think about its own demise for about 11 or 12 seconds, and then it moves right on down the road to something else. So again, this is an opportunity for you to engage in this conversation with your client, and know that coming up, if you get good at this, the market's huge. From 2010 until 2025, there were 80 million people expected to file for Social Security benefits. And this is really the sweet spot for this product. This is when people start really doing their planning, whether it's retirement planning, estate planning. We find that the majority of our clients that we're doing business are going to be in that age range from that like 60 all the way up to 90 years old. So we have plenty of prospects out there to talk to. It's just a matter of getting comfortable with what you're talking about and being able to articulate it to your client. And so how we start the conversation out with the client is we'll ask them a real simple question. If it's a new client, we're going to ask them, do you have nursing home insurance? Now, the reason we ask them that is we know 93% of all Americans out there don't have any type of long-term care insurance. So now we're going to point out to them that 69% of all Americans older than 65 are going to need nursing care. And with an average cost of long-term care between $82,000 to actually $100,000 a year today, that they're going to have to start spending their assets, and that's called spend down. So what they quickly come to realize through the conversation is Well, if we have to spend down all of our money, we better start putting some of it aside today that we know is 100% protected from a Medicaid spend down in the event that we need to try to qualify for long-term care to get onto Medicaid. So it's a great way to start it with the client. And as we go through, you'll see how we can protect some money for them and make sure that regardless of what happens in the future, if they go into care, if they don't go into care, that money's always going to be protected and it's going to be there for them when they need it the most. So all we're doing is using the protection of life insurance with the advantages of an irrevocable funeral trust. So we're telling them, hey, let's permanently put this money aside so that you know your final expenses are covered. And we're going to use the trust to hold the funds. So effectively, we're spending that asset down. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is if I have a married couple and each one of them puts $15,000 into an irrevocable funeral trust, I've just taken $30,000 off of the table that could be subject to a Medicaid spend down rule. So we'll talk about the trust itself and how that works. So what we're doing is we're using a life insurance policy to fund the trust. And what we're going to do is we're going to get that issued for the clients. We're going to have it put into the irrevocable trust, so it's not subject to the 5-year look back time period by Medicaid. Once that's in the trust, it's going to stay in there, and they're going to get simple growth on that policy. Now, I'm going to say something to you. This isn't an investment. This isn't a growth product. This is a protection product. So they're going to give us a little bit of interest, but I don't focus on that with the client because that's not the important part. And then what will happen is when the client passes away, the funeral home will get paid first. So the money that will come out of the trust will be paid directly to the funeral home. Any remaining money in the irrevocable funeral trust will have to go back to the estate of the insured because we protected it from a Medicaid spend down. And if they would have went on in a nursing home and went on Medicaid, then the state is entitled to recovery of anything that's left over. So again, it's going to protect that money from the nursing home, long-term care facilities, or creditors. And then when the policy pays out, obviously, because it's due to its life insurance structure, it's going to be tax exempt from taxes. So how does the trust compare against traditional savings products that you might use to pay for a funeral? I'll let you look through that real quick. And I guess the thing we want to focus on, as you can see, the only thing that hits a yes in every category, and this is something you can print and share with your client, but this is going to hit yes in every category for us, and that is really what makes it a special product for setting up for final expenses. So you can be 100% certain your monies are in that trust. Why is that important? Get on your Google machine at home and type in funeral homes that have had problems with prepaid funerals. And you're going to find, I don't care what area you're in, you'll find that a lot of times that money's not there when the client needs it the most. You may have a company that sells to another company. Maybe the funeral home went out of business. Maybe it got inherited by the next generation and they ran it into the ground. But with the insurance company, we know for sure the money is going to be there, and we're not locking into a specific funeral home. So it's portable. I just had a client retire and bought a home down in Naples, and we're pretty sure that's going to be their final spot. And they know that this can be taken anywhere. They can use it in Naples. They're not locked into a funeral home in Columbus. So again, you don't have to go in and pick out your merchandise or your services ahead of time, which goes back to that married couple who we showed you the stats. They know it's important, but they just can't motivate themselves to walk into a funeral home and start picking that stuff out. And again, it's immediately available when the client passes away. The funds will be to the funeral home typically within 48 hours. So in its essence, just to give you kind of a real illustration of how simple it is, what we're going to do is we're going to find the money to fund the life insurance policy. I said we'll talk about single premium. Now, traditional single premium life, if you've ever sold it, if you gave a company $15,000, they may give you a $25,000 death benefit, and you may start out with $6,000, $7,000 in cash value. This is not going to work that way. This is not we're not looking for cash value. We're looking to protect dollars. So in a typical case, maybe you'll put 15,000 in. It'll start out with a $15,250 death benefit, and then it'll start getting that interest paid on the money. So once the policy is issued, it's going to get assigned to the Irrevocable Funeral Trust. And that's where it's going to sit. And I tell my clients that word irrevocable means something. Don't call me and ask me to borrow on it. Don't call and ask me to cash it in, because you can't do it. It's only coming out when you pass away. And if you set your client up for that, I've been doing these for 14 years. I've never once had a client call me and ask about accessing money that's in the Irrevocable Funeral Trust. So again, once they pass away, the funeral provider is going to get their claim paid, and then any remaining funds will be paid back to the estate. That being said, if your client tells you, hey, I'm only going to spend $10,000 on the funeral, that's all I'm putting aside, and whatever they can get for that, they can get, well, then we don't want 15,000 in there, because the idea is to not have any money left in there, if possible, after that client's had their funeral paid for. So there's two different trusts with Unity. The first one's the one you've been hearing me talk about the whole time, which is the Irrevocable Funeral Trust. You can put up to $15,000 into that. I'll show you a state chart here in a minute. But it's generally considered an exempt asset. So once you put it in there, you've basically taken it off of your balance sheet of your assets. Your funeral costs are going to be paid first, and then again, any excess paid to the estate of the insured. But what if you ask a client about this, and the question's simple to every client: have you prepaid your funeral? It's very unoffensive, but yet you can get a lot of information out of that simple question. If they say, well, John, we went down to Sheddinger Funeral Home about 5 years ago after mom died, and we just went ahead and picked our stuff out and prepaid our funeral. Oh, that's great. Do you have any money that you would like to know without the shadow of a doubt that you're not going to use during your lifetime, and you want to make sure that it's going to a church or a charity or your children that we can protect for you? Because you're going to find out with some of these clients that answer is going to be yes. And then the only difference is it will have that 5-year look back period. But once it gets through the 5-year look back period, that money is going to be 100% protected if they go into a nursing home and they have to spend down all of their other assets. And it will pay out to a named beneficiary. It does not come back to the estate. So which trust do I use? I get this question. I speak at the agent academies, and this is normally a typical question I'll get. And it's real simple. For funeral expense trust, this is great for crisis planning. Think in your mind, do you have any clients where maybe they're at home getting home health care, maybe one of the spouses is in the nursing home and they're paying the spouse's way right now? You could walk in and say, hey, I know you're spending money down to qualify for Medicaid, and you're going to have to pay for your funeral. Let's take this money off the table right now today and put it aside for both of you. Maybe Medicaid's possible in 5 years. Or with us, we do a lot of seminar events, and when we meet with new clients and we talk to them about this, they really just want it taken care of. They're healthy. Maybe they'll never need long-term care, but they just want to know that this money is protected and money is set aside to take care of their funeral expenses down the road. With the estate planning trust, again, Medicaid's a non-issue, that maybe they'll never need the money during their lifetime, and they want to easily transfer a limited amount of wealth to their children or their charity, and they want to make sure that even if they do get sick and go to a nursing home, that money is always protected. A lot of times you'll hear from a client that, wow, 5 years sounds like a long time. But in reality, we all know that 5 years goes by very quickly, and it won't start going by until you fund this and get the clock ticking. So that's your real opportunity, and you can write some pretty big cases using that. So the product itself that we use to fund it, we're going to stick over here on this left side with the single pay. A minimum issue is $500. Maximum issue is $15,000 into the irrevocable funeral trust. Again, minimum issue age 10, maximum issue age is 99. You can do a dollar for dollar. This might be something where maybe somebody has an existing annuity that has $50,000 in it, and they're like, well, yeah, I'd like to use my penalty-free withdrawal and start pulling $3,000 a year out and start getting it over into this plan. You can certainly use that dollar for dollar. With the estate planning trust, it's a $2,000 minimum. You can put up to $85,000 unless you have not used because you can use both trusts. So if you haven't used an irrevocable, then you can put 100 in the estate planning trust. But if you put 15 into the irrevocable funeral trust, then you can only do 85 into the estate planning trust. So again, it's single premium guaranteed issue product. After 12 months, it's full face plus the discretionary growth factor. And then again, you can do the dollar for dollar down there at the bottom. So this is where I talk about growth rates. You know, I tell our clients, hey, the companies, I don't get into the rate even. I say, hey, you're going to get a growth rate on this. It's going to be minimal, but that's not what this is about. This is about getting the money put aside and getting the money protected. And if you phrase it that way, you're not going to have any clients say to you, well, man, I'm only getting 0.5% on my money. Well, you can go to the bank and you can get 1.5%. But if you get sick and go in a nursing home, they're going to take all of it. So what good is 1.5 if they're going to take it back from you? So again, don't get caught up on the growth factor. Get caught up on the protection factor. And if you don't like paperwork, it's literally that one piece of paper, your disclosure form and your state replacement form. You know, when I got in this business of writing annuities back in 1993, I wrote my first annuity, and it was 3 pages. And the last page was the receipt for the client. And if you look at the paperwork that we're inundated with today, but with life insurance, long-term care, annuities, you can see that having a product where you're not caught up in all the paperwork and you know for sure you're going to get the product issued, that's a bonus. So here's the application. It's really simple. I mean, it's basic information on the application. That's the top of the page. There's the bottom of the page. Everybody's going to sign off. They understand what they're doing. This is the disclosure form for the irrevocable funeral trust. Now, you don't have to fill in your choice of funeral home up there, and make sure if you're writing an application that you have, there's also the estate planning disclosure. So make sure you have the right one if you're doing business. But how this works is after the contract's been issued, there's a 30-day window before they put that into the trust. You can waive that if you're in a crisis situation. I work with an elder law attorney down the street from me. It wouldn't be unusual for him to call me on the 20th of February and say, hey, I'm going to try to get these people qualified for Medicaid on the 1st of March. Can you help me get $30,000 off the table? Well, yeah, we can do that, but we want to make sure at the bottom of the app that we sign the waiver not to wait for the 30 days for the policy to go in the trust. The client can elect to have it go in immediately at issue, and then that starts that protection process at that point. I put this up there. I'm sure you've been just looking through it while I'm talking, but that shows you just about everything you're going to need for a funeral is going to be covered underneath what's covered in the funeral trust. Now, I can see we have a lot of people on here, and I'm sure you're from all over the place. So I will show you here basically what the state limits look like for the funeral trust. So you can see there that most of the states are going to be the 15,000. But let's talk about a state like where IAMS is located, and IAMS is located in Nebraska. So you can see there, if you went in and met with a client today in Nebraska and you talked to them about this program, you can only put $4,978 into the irrevocable funeral trust. Well, what if I'm meeting with a client and they say, well, John, that's great, but we're going to do a full-fledged funeral. We're going to need 15 grand. Well, that's fine. What we're going to do is we're going to put the 4,978 in here. We're going to take that $10,000 balance and we're going to put it into the estate planning trust. Yes, you're going to have that 5-year look back on the 10,000, but you're at least going to start that clock ticking on protecting that money, and that you've got the $15,000 set back. So again, don't let, because it's either not available or you can only write a lower amount, don't let it affect you of getting the full amount put aside for the client. So what about when we're presenting to clients? This is really where the rubber meets the road. When I sold that first annuity in 1993, I'm positive I was probably more nervous than a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs, because I didn't know really what I was doing, but I knew it was good and I understood the product. Now today, we do, an absorbent amount of annuities, and I can talk forward and backward about them, but it's not because I'm the smartest guy in the room. It's repetition of doing it over the years. This is no different. So I had a great mentor in this business, and he told me one time, if you've got something you want to talk to someone about, start talking with a current client, because that client knows you, trusts you, and will listen to you. And so I would recommend that if this is new to you and you're doing annual reviews like with your clients like you should be, this would be a great place to start. So if I went in there, I would say to the client, hey, Mrs. Jones, I know we've worked together for quite a while. Would you agree that most, or not most, but all the information I provided in planning has worked the way we expected? Well, they're going to tell you, yeah. Well, here's something that I've learned about that we haven't discussed that I think is very important to your overall financial picture, and I want to talk to you a little bit about it. And then I'm going to talk to them about the benefits of planning ahead. I had a guy at one of the academies come up to me and say, hey, John, I don't know how to say this to you, but man, I wish I had your dad's story. And I said, well, you do. Tell him you met a friend that does this, and he shared with you the story about his father, and tell them that's a real story. I was really put into that position. And then make sure they know it can be used with any funeral home. You're not locked in. The assets being held by the insurance company. And I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people on here, and I'm sure many of you have been in this position where you've went in to do a review for a new client, and they've got stuff like statements and, trust paperwork and wills laying on the table, and you get a little smell of something musty at the end of the table, and it's those old paid up policies that they've been hanging on to forever. Well, you need to explain to them, because they don't understand that when they look at the statement for their paid up policy and they see they've got $10,000 in cash value and a $12,000 death benefit, that they don't get both those numbers when they die. They get the bigger of the two. So if you've got $10,000 in cash and a $12,000 death benefit, you've got $2,000 worth of insurance, because that $10,000 is your money. And if you get sick and you have to go to a nursing home, that is a countable asset that they're going to make you spend down. So if that's what you're setting aside for, doesn't it make more sense to 1035 exchange the cash value into the irrevocable funeral trust and know that that money is protected today? Are we giving up a little bit of death benefit? Yeah, we possibly are, but we know that the money's going to be there now when we need it the most. And then again, we all get paid for closing the sale, but you will help your client tremendously, and you'll give them that peace of mind of knowing that they've planned ahead and that you've done a good job of protecting the funds for them. So where do we find the money? It's real simple. If you passed away yesterday, Mrs. Jones, how would your family be paying for your funeral today? And then be quiet. I've heard answers all over the board, but the one I've heard many times, which makes me really happy, is, oh, don't worry, John, my daughter knows I have a CD down at Fifth Third Bank, and that's what's to be used to take care of my final expenses. Well, again, that's a countable asset. Doesn't it make more sense if you know that's what you're using it for? Let's put it over into the irrevocable funeral trust and know that that money's going to be there, that you don't get sick and have to spend it in a long-term care stay. So again, the money's out there. You just need to get the concept across to them and then figure out how you're going to fund it for them. Unity does a really nice job with their producer materials. Once you're licensed, they'll send you a box with really nice laminated materials that you can use and give to the client, and they're all in layman's terms. The funeral trust funding program over here on the right-hand side, I'll just tell you a little story about a client I did business with. It was about I can't remember now, 60 to 70,000 in cash value that we moved out of life insurance policies and split them up between the funeral trust and the estate planning trust. But after I went through my presentation with them, she looked at me and she said, John, you've done business with us long enough to know we don't make a decision on the first appointment. We need to sleep on it and talk about it. And I told them, I said, I'm perfectly fine with that. And you've done business with me long enough to know that I'm going to let you do that, but I want to get an answer tomorrow why it's fresh on your mind, whether you want to do this or not. So I'm going to call you at 1 o'clock tomorrow. I said, I'm going to leave you this brochure. Just read through it. Any other questions, let me know. True story, 9 o'clock the next morning, my phone rings in my office. Hey, John, we slept on it. We went through the brochure. Let's get an appointment set up to move forward with it. So again, it'll reiterate what you've said to them, but it'll be in a way that they can understand to help you get the deal. Now, this planning guide that is provided by Unity, my mentor that was very instrumental in me being successful in this business always told me that if you leave a potential client or a new client a task while you're getting their stuff done, that will keep them engaged and the chances of them reneging on the deal go down dramatically. So I've always done that, whether it's annuities, managed money, doesn't matter. And this is what I leave them when I do a irrevocable funeral trust or estate planning trust. And the reason I leave this for them is I tell them, if I had never met you before and you will complete this, and I'll bring your contract back and put it in it for you. And if I'd never met you before and you passed away, I could take this in your contract to the funeral home and I could take care of your funeral for you. And the reason I can tell them that with confidence is because everything on this planning guide that my dad did not have down to the pallbearers, down to his favorite flower, is in that guide. So they'll go through that, and now they've got everything done that they'll need to have done for the funeral to be handled by their family members without putting them through the stress of having to answer all the questions that I had to answer. So when you license with Unity through Insurance Agency Marketing Services, or IAMS as we affectionately call them, you'll get access to the agent web portal. You can find anything you need in here: production reports, commission reports, lookup policy, order applications, print marketing materials. So they do a really good job with that. The one thing I like about them is they're available all the way up to the president of the company. You can literally call and ask for the president of the company, and they will make sure you either speak with him or he gets back with you. So they're very, very engaged in what they do, and that's one of the things that we love about them. So every one of your clients need it and are thinking about it. I shared the numbers with you. I'm going to share with you the income opportunity that it can generate for your business. The trusts are free, so there's no cost to the client. The funds are portable. It's going to give your client that peace of mind, easy paperwork to get it done, and then again, great commission structure to make sure that you get paid for doing your work. I always refer back to this mentor of mine, but he always used to tell me, he's like, don't rely on one thing. Don't just be a life insurance agent. He said, you've got to have multiple income streams coming into your business at any given time. And so when he shared that with me 14 years ago, I didn't know anything about this product, zero. But he told me if I would just talk to people that I could earn at that point anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 a year of additional income to my business which in my mind was, okay, that'll take care of all my office expenses. So we really dug deep with this and became successful with it. And I'm just assuming that you meet with 2 couples each month. Each one of them puts $15,000 into a plan. That's going to generate about $60,000 to your annual bottom line. So if you look at this grid here, if you were out doing a review and your clients were in that sweet spot, that 66 to 70, and you did $30,000 on them, whether you did a penalty-free withdrawal from an annuity, wherever you get the money, it doesn't matter. You just got paid $4,000 for doing your annual review, and you've done a really good thing for your client. So again, everybody wins in that situation, and that's really, that's what this business is about. So fast start incentive, they give a $200 bonus for $25,000 a face amount issued in the first 30 days of appointment. But more importantly, all your production will count towards the conferences with IAMS. I've been with IAMS since 2006. I've never missed a sales conference, but back in 2006, again, what you want to do is when you make a sales conference, find those top 10 or 15 producers. They love to talk about their business. Find out what they're doing differently that you're not doing, and then take those ideas and implement them into your business. It's how I got to where I'm at today. A lot of borrowed ideas from some of the top people within the IAMS family, and they're always willing to share. So overcoming the challenge, just remember it's okay to ask. Have you prepaid your funeral? That's a very simple question to ask them. Tell them why they need the protection, how you're going to take an asset that's countable for a long-term care stay and put it over to the side that makes it non-countable. And then again, every client, every day, make sure you're mentioning it to them. When do I get paid? They process and pay commissions weekly. We all know what cash with app is. That's just sending the cash into them. And then you can always go on and check on your business on the Unity link. Agents have direct access to all company management, like I shared with you a minute ago. They've got great marketing services. If you do implement this, please use that guide that I showed you to leave with the client to fill out. It can be a game changer for some families to have all of that information in writing for the people who are going to take care of the funeral. So one of the benefits you will get by licensing through IAMS with Unity is this guide for beneficiaries. Now, a quick story on this guide. This is going back probably about 8 years ago, 9 years ago. I had a rather large client. She had a $500,000 annuity with me. She passed away. Her daughter called me to let me know that her mom passed away. And I told her, I said, hey, just get through everything you need to get through. And then we need to get together. You're the sole beneficiary of this annuity that she has with me. And she said to me, oh, John, don't worry about that. I've already talked to the banker. We've worked with him for a long time. He's going to handle everything for us. We'll take it all in and it'll be done. And when I got off that phone call, I was sick to my stomach because I was guilty of not having my information in front of them when it was needed most, when somebody passed away. So I designed this guide for beneficiaries. I'm going to show you what it looks like here next. But all we did is we went out and saw every single client. We took the new guide out to them. We collected all new data on their finances, and over about a 6-month period, we wrote $1.5 million a new annuity premium, $200,000 in traditional single premium life, and $150,000 in funeral expense or estate planning trust. So funeral trust or estate planning, it was a combination. And all we did was build this guide and have it printed and take it out and spend a little bit of time with the client. And every single client that we met with, every one of them, when we were done going through the guide with them, looked at us and said, you do not know how much we appreciate this, because I know this is going to make it easy on my family when I pass away. So in the guide, I'm only going to show you a couple things, but in the guide itself, and we can brand this to your company. But what's interesting is there is probably 20, I've got a guide right here in front of me, so there's probably 20 additional pages I'm not showing you. Everything from a checklist of where things are located, what they should do in the first few days. Number one says call Inting Financial Services. It tells them what documents they need to collect. It gives them sample letters of what they need to write to the pension company, the Social Security, to cancel credit cards, things that need to be done when someone passes away. And our clients love this. Another story for you. We did this organizer with a client that lives in Pennsylvania. We worked with her dad for a long time. This happened not this past October, but the October before. So this would have been 2020. But she called us, told us dad had passed away, that she had our guide in front of her, and that she needed to set up a meeting. Today, we have over $1 million of that client's money. We went out in one appointment. We wrote about $500,000 of single premium life on her and her husband, managed money, and some additional annuities. So we know it works. This isn't something we're telling you might work. We've got proven results off of it. So again, we'll make this available to you. You'll be able to go through, collect all new financial information, which they're willing to give to you, because what we tell them is, if we update all this financial information and we put it back in the back of your beneficiary guide and you passed away, we could come in here and help your family settle your estate without ever meeting you before. So again, question 8 here has, have you prepaid for your funeral? It's a yes or no question. If they say no, we're not going to launch into a sales pitch, but we're going to certainly look at all these other assets and figure out where we can pull money from. So when we come to talk to them about it, we're prepared. Hey, this is what you need to do. This is why you need to do it. This is where we're going to take the money from to get it done. And then on the last page is just a bunch of notes for the client. But that's really how we do it. It's that simple. If there's any questions out there, I'd certainly be ready and able to answer them for you. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, John, very much. That guide never fails. Going through a situation myself right now where that I can see that being extremely beneficial, and we see it all the time with with stories that we were able to pick up within our own families, policies that didn't know grandma had because it was a second marriage, that type of thing. So appreciate your time today. If you would, I'm going to go through a couple polling questions here for us here before everybody departs. If you have any questions, in addition to that, by all means, let us know here today as we go forward. And get the other presentation here and pull these up. So our first polling question that I'd like to go through here, are you currently contracted with IAMS or any life or annuity products? So take a couple minutes here as that poll's open. Just let us know if you're currently going to be contracting with IAMS for any life or annuity products. So are you going to be contracting today? And that gives us a good idea of getting material out to you faster, especially for Unity. So if you're going to be licensing for Unity Trust or would like to, please indicate on there and we'll get that information going for you as we go. So I'm going to close this poll here and go through our next one in a second here. Appreciate going through it here. And that's about it for the first one. And on the second question here, could this product meet the needs of any of your clients? If you have anybody in particular in mind that you're already thinking this would be a great fit for, I have an interest in using the planning guide for beneficiaries, the vital document locator, and there, as John had mentioned, let us know here on the polling question if you've got a client that you feel would be one that you want to take a look at for solutions here with the Unity Funeral Trust. Let us know, and the life insurance team today will reach out to you and collect that information and see what we can do to help you put together a plan and get you the solution you need as we go from there. A couple more seconds here to collect responses on that one. Thank you very much for your time. And on the last one for today is the Unity trust here. It looks like I read the first question wrong. So if you'd like to appoint with Unity, again, indicate on this question here that you'd like to appoint. We'll make sure we get that over to you. If you're using Surance Bay, we do use the digital licensing system. Our team will get you all set up, and we can move from there into further conversations. Do appreciate your time. Happy Valentine's Day to you and your family. Enjoy the day. John, as always, thank you very much.
You got it. Have a great day.
Have a great one. You too, sir. Take care, all. Thanks.